And I wanted to just kind of just share this with you so you can get a visual of where we can go. And everything I've said to you today can change, right? That's how cable is. We evolve, we innovate, we change. That's our nature. That's why I love cable, because of the change. Some people don't like the change. Oh, what do you mean there's a new procedure? What do you mean I got to start installing this? And I hear it from the techs all the time. They want me to do this, they want me to do that, they want me to... Yes, do it all. And it just that's just how it's become, right? And the speed of innovation, the stuff that it keeps changing so quickly. Like, I just bought my TV, it's HD. Why? What do you? I need a curved television? Don't dare buy a curved television. But do I need 4K? Well, it's up to you. You know, what do you like? It's so really, what's the future hold? And I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell you what the future holds. But I can tell you that virtualization will be a part of that. We're looking to virtualize components of the network. And think about virtualization in your world. Anybody use cloud anything? Nothing? No cloud anything. No Amazon cloud, no Dropbox. Okay, that's a cloud. Yeah. So you're probably just getting it, you're like, oh, I do use cloud. Okay, I didn't realize that. But cloud, this idea of cloud is where content is stored some other location. And one of the biggest things about VOD, video on demand, was when the cable box broke and all that video on demand content was on that cable box and you had to take it away from the customer. You're like, give me that box. But all my stuff for years and years has been saved on that and you're going to take the box. Well, we solved that with cloud DVR. So you can take that box, throw it out, put a new box in, it's all there. I can access it on my smartphone too. We can't solve everything though. That's and that's a big operator. So if you look at a smaller operator, that's still painful. Yeah, I got to take your DVR. It would be nice to swap out the hard drive into another one for them, but that's a big challenge. But there's a lot of coherent fiber optics I'll talk about. I touched on distributed access architectures. We talked about cybersecurity. There's something new coming called software-defined networks. Have anybody heard of software-defined networks or, network function virtualization? We're going to start doing this. We're actually going to do software-defined wide area networks. So I will show you. But basically, it's a overlay of way of us connecting businesses through our network. So the larger operators have deployed DOCSIS in 100% of their networks, and they're going to layer on this software-defined WAN, and you can come into the DOCSIS network in Philadelphia and exit in San Francisco, and it's to the company, it's like one big network. It allows us to go after big businesses. And the cable operators are different in the U.S. They work together. So that means you can pop in Atlanta through Cox Communications and pop out in Philly and Comcast. And to them, it's one network. Yeah. The cable operator. Am I going to get beat up when I go out in the parking lot? But that's an important point, is that there are times when we need to work together. And the cable operators, we have overbuilders. We have operators that actually build on top. We have operators that will build right on top of another cable operator's network, and that's okay. But we also have cable operators that work together, and they interconnect their networks. And we were kind of talking at a break about video content. So if you're an operator, you have 3 channels of video content, and another operator, they have 3 channels of video content. It might make sense to form a partnership. Say, hey, look, I got 3 channels, you got 3 channels. Let's get a partnership going, and we can share content, and then it makes us both better because now we both have content. Working together, we can aggregate all that content. Because think about it, everybody wants all the channels that everybody in this room offers. How do we get there, right? So one of the groups that I'll mention in the United States that might help with working together, we have called NCTC is our group. This is actually 800 independent video and broadband providers that work together. So if you're buying cable boxes, they buy them in bulk. You're buying CMTSs, they buy them in bulk. So everybody works together as one big collective. And our CEO, I believe he's there today speaking to them. But they all work together, and even on training, they actually work together and negotiate a special discount for their entire group. This is all the little operators in the United States. So from the real tiny Beaver cable to the Suddenlinks, the mid-level, which are now actually Suddenlinks out of there. So let's say Service Electric or like TDS Telecom or something like that. But they all work together. So and they market together, they share cost. This could be very, very beneficial to have an organization or work towards more of a partnership together, right? So that's how the small operators are able to do it in the U.S. Some of the activity examples, I kind of talked about these, but I kind of looked at a whole bunch of smaller operators. What are they focused on? They're focused on internet. Well, of course, everybody is. But managed Wi-Fi, I was very surprised. I shouldn't be surprised because I know this, but they offer managed Wi-Fi. They know that owning that experience in the home is just as vital as the access network, as the back office. And security. They're focused on managed security. You're a small business. I don't want to deal with security. Come in and offer me a security product, managed Wi-Fi, and internet. So that was another area. They'll do backups in the cloud for you. So these are all opportunities. Like, wow, okay, that's something we can get into. They offer Ethernet services. So you can offer an Ethernet pipe all the way to a business. They offer managed IT. So, hey, I'm a medium-sized business. I don't want to have a whole IT department. Can you come up and hook up my servers for me? Or, can you help? We're even getting into college campuses now and helping the college campuses integrate their technology of a cable operator. So there's teams. There's a sales engineering team, if you will, that cable operators have to go in and go after new businesses like colleges and universities. They offer about 260 channels. You're like, wow, that's a lot of channels. Well, I think I have over 1,000. But for the small operators, it's pretty good. How do they get those 266 channels? They negotiate it with NCTC. All the programming rights. So instead of the programmers, okay, well, you pay this, you pay that. Let's all work together. We all pay the same price. It makes sense on things that we're already doing now separately and just say, look, let's negotiate a package for these channels. And then non-cloud DVR still. I didn't see any cloud DVR yet. There might be a few doing that. DOCSIS 3, most of them are doing DOCSIS 3. They might not have the level of channel bonding where you get to 1 gig, but they have DOCSIS 3 available. A lot of the operators in the Caribbean have DOCSIS 3. They just haven't leveraged it fully. They've actually invested in it. And, of course, voice services. So now what I'm seeing is people are bonding the DOCSIS 3. They're starting to do a little bit of IoT. Smaller operators doing smart home and security packages. And then some of them are doing mobile LTE services. So most recently, Via in U.S. Virgin Islands has actually signed a deal where they're actually offering MiFi services along with the triple play. So you get a hotspot, and then you get your triple play, and that's driving success for them. So sometimes these partnerships. And I'll use the larger operator, but there's operators that, so Verizon is a big telco in the U.S. Verizon has a pretty big cellular network. What if you were a cable operator and you signed a deal with Verizon to offer mobility services? Do you think that would work? It's working really well for operators. And it's happening. So now you can offer the quad play, cell services, video services, all these services. So you can actually get cell services. And that's your 4G LTE service. But here's a Beaver Cable. This is a small operator here, kind of showing you what they do. But they're a small operator. They do a data cap. There's their data cap, 1 terabyte. We talked about that. How do you prevent people all connecting to the service? They do a 20 meg and 5 meg service, which I think there are some operators here on the island that do much better than that. But you can kind of see what some of the small operators in the U.S. look like. Now, I kind of put the roadmap together. Just want to reiterate some things that we talked about. Video analog, SD, HD, then to MPEG-4. We talked about that. Then you get to IP streaming. Because you want to stream over MPEG-4 because of the compression ratio is so much better. You can stream MPEG-2 if you want, that's fine. And then high efficiency video coding, which is the latest version of MPEG, because you want to start moving into 4K, or maybe that's something in the next couple of years. And then, obviously, we get into over-the-top 4K content, DVR. We went from DVR to Mocha DVR. So we just had the DVR, where that was it. And then we wanted to connect that with other devices in the home. So that's where we added the Mocha protocol. And that's just enabling that on the digital video recorder. To cloud, to voice activated. So you can see there's a roadmap. All right, I got DVR today. How do I get to the next step? Mocha DVR. And your customers will be happy with that. Like, oh, well, it's all connected. For internet, DOCSIS 1.1. My clicker is wearing out. But all the way, we walked through this, 2.0, there's 3.0. And then, I'm going to start bonding some channels. I'll start slowly going from 50 to 75 to 100 meg service. Maybe 5 years down the road, I might go to 3.1 and then start using some symmetrical DOCSIS later on. We talked about the node split story. Again, you could jump this. And we've done that. We were like, oh, well, I'm just going to jump right to XPON. I'm going to go right out the door to GPON. For new builds, it makes sense. If there's no infrastructure there, then that makes sense to do. Why build out HFC if there's no infrastructure? Leverage city, island government infrastructure projects. We have cities in the U.S. There's governments in the Caribbean that are building their own networks. How do we become a part of that? So I was sharing that one that's the city of Chattanooga. They're building their own infrastructure. I think the state of Kentucky is building their own gigabit network. So that's where these things are going to happen, but those are opportunities for us. How do we become a part of that? They don't have video content. They don't have content. How can we be a part of that? And we see that happening even here in the Caribbean, where the governments are saying, well, we're going to build out the infrastructure of the future because that's part of our GDP, right? And I'm going to invest in that. So that's something to think about. Home security we talked about, but that leads to more IoT. So we can start thinking small. Okay, we'll help for a security product. Maybe 2 years, we'll start getting into some more IoT and connectivity things. And convergence. I talked about convergence of everything, and the ability that my set-top box can show me my home security on any TV in the house is really cool. I can pull up my camera. My daughter can do it on her TV anywhere in the house. And that's cool. You're laying in the bed, and you hear some smashing going out in front of the house. What was that? I don't have to get out of bed. I just put my TV on, or I look on my smartphone. Oh, it was a cat. But think about that. Customers want things integrated. My emails are also my voicemails. Somebody calls, and they leave a message. I have never put in my code on the phone. My wife goes, well, how many messages do you have? I don't know. Because they're emailed to me. They record it, and it's emailed to me. So I always have it. So think of those are some of the convergence services. Start thinking about how do I bring those things together. The guide on the cable box. How do I improve the guide on the cable box? How do I make it more friendly? I mean, think of the Netflix guide. That's very friendly, right? How can I get some of those features? And that's that RDK I was talking about, Reference Design Kit. It's taking a set-top box, putting a layer of software on there, and then you can build content on top of that layer. If you have programmers, and you say, well, I don't have any programmers, what am I going to do? We'll do what Rogers did. Rogers just licensed it from Comcast. Cox did the same thing. Like, yeah, you know what? We'll license it too. So you can license stuff that's already done. Or you can build your own. But at that website, there's 300 companies that are part of that. You can start looking at that and see, does this make sense for us? But then you're not controlled by the vendor's guide. You can put your own guide on there. You can do updates anytime you need to, even when the box is on. You can make it user-friendly as possible. You can add your voice components, but you can really create your own experience. And they have it for the cable modems now, too. That's something new that we're doing, is that you can control the whole interface on the cable modem. So how the customer logs in. So what's the number one reason people call you for high-speed data issues? What's the number one thing that they call you for? Is it passwords? No? Not working? Okay. What if you could give the customer the ability to see that? So right now, like, if you forget your Wi-Fi password, you can actually log in to cableoperator.com and you can just change it. You don't have to log into your device. So that's what we're talking about, integration. You can go into the cable operator's website and like, oh, I forgot my password. Let me just change it. And it changes it. Or what if the website could offer you some assistance? We noticed that you're using 2.4 gigahertz. We think that if you're, you could benefit by using 5 gigahertz. And you might want to, you could offer them assistance. But think about how do you integrate the products in somebody's house to what they're doing, the behaviors. Big data is the future as well. The more data you have on the customer, the more data you have on how they behave in your network, that's going to allow you to create the next innovative products. If I know that my techs are out there resetting passwords all day long, that costs me $80 US a truck roll. By investing into a programmer that can put that on the website where they can change their password anytime they want, I just saved 50 truck rolls a month. That's how you turn that into return on investment. So think about convergence as you're going through what services can I combine. And then think about the behaviors that you're seeing. Wi-Fi was our biggest issue, and now it's not, because we're addressing it with managed Wi-Fi and these other tools that I'm talking about. So RDK, just to kind of give you a quick overview, basically the next generation video and broadband services, but you can develop your own services. And I was telling you about Liberty Global had a hackathon, and by the end of the day, they had a new app on their cable box. Yeah. So if you don't have programmers, put it out to bid. You say, hey, look, I need some people to develop some apps. But there are apps available now. So check out RDK Central. For voice, we had analog wired. We went converged. We went with something called PacketCable. That's the technology from Cable Labs. And what's PacketCable? That gave us multimedia. And whoop. Too many things in my hand at once. But PacketCable gave us multimedia. We tried enhanced cordless phone. Some things are failures. You can get sports scores on your phone. You can get all different kinds. Like you can integrate video with your phone and all this other stuff. HD phone. None of that took off. Smartphones. Everybody uses their smartphone. So some things might not be a great idea. Like, oh, I want to get the sports scores on my telephone in the house. When's the last time you even picked that thing up, right? So that might not be a good idea. However, think about mobility. Think about those hotspots I mentioned. Think about Wi-Fi first as technologies you might want to be able to leverage. If you can improve somebody's experience while they're in the park and they're using your network, it's just another reason they need you, right? Wi-Fi is best effort, meaning that there's no way to guarantee its delivery. And that's an issue. So we're really focused on carrier grade, improving that experience. And some of it's part of the technology that's being put in the home. Then some of it is also operators managing it. One of the things at Consumer Electronics Show was mesh networks. That's where you take several devices and they all intertalk in the home. And no matter what room of the home you're in, whether it's a concrete building or all metal, because that's even worse, or could be as worse, it communicates. So these are devices that integrate the Wi-Fi. So basically, one of the technologies I saw is like their smoke detector. The smoke detector is not just a smoke detector, carbon monoxide, but it's also the Wi-Fi hotspot. And you put one of them in each room, it's like, wow, I need a new smoke detector in my room. And now I'm going to put a hotspot, which is mesh, and they all talk, and they link your Wi-Fi together and provide a better experience in the home. Just ideas that might help with providing services. People all have to change their smoke detectors, right? Business services. This was the latest talk I did in New York City, it was on business services, and everybody was focused on fiber, this, that. I said, can we have one on DOCSIS? So I was on a panel with DOCSIS. How can we use our DOCSIS network to go after business customers? Because we can. And that's very, very important. But that's what we call business like residential. Offer them. Now, this MPLS is actually, for us in the U.S. and some other parts in Europe, is actually a competitor technology for a cable operator. So what we did is like dedicated fiber to businesses like RFOG, because we were actually putting MPLS is technology over T1 lines, 1.544 megabits per second. But we went from like dedicated fiber or dedicated Ethernet to faster versions of DOCSIS, and now we're going to run this SD-WAN, which allows us to make the network one big network. And for the business customer, they don't care. As long as all their offices are connected, that's all. So think about how you can work together to offer that throughout the island. IPv6, I won't say much about that, but IPv6 is the next generation of IP. If you're running out of IP version 4, you need to look at IPv6. It's not something you just turn on. It does take some work. I got a lot of clicking in there. Whoop. Carrier Ethernet. I think carrier Ethernet, the direction we're going is more SD-WAN, but Ethernet connections for your customers. Carrier Ethernet is carrier grade, which means quality of service Ethernet, is another option. Coherent optics. This is actually doing very high orders of modulation over fiber optics. So using your existing fiber, your fiber now is analog. So we're talking about digital signals over fiber. That's the next step. After that, coherent optics. Using those digital connections over fiber, and once they're digital, you're going to realize all types of bandwidths and opportunities. So that's coherent optics. And this is distributed access architecture I talked about earlier, but really taking the internal components in your head ends, hub sites, and data centers and moving them into the access network. That's probably a 5-year thing. But taking the entire CMTS and moving it into the, virtualize the whole thing? Like, what? Yes. We have a huge focus on critical facilities. One of the things I didn't really highlight here is that all your facilities should be critical facilities. And we're designing a curriculum around that for all the operators because it's so important, especially with everything that's going on as far as our weather and disasters that we're having. It's very, very important that our facilities can still operate after these disasters. And, you know, we won't have one storm take out. We learned a lot from Sandy that devastated a lot of New York and North Jersey, took out entire facilities. So people did not have connectivity for quite some time. How do we improve that? And we found that we had facilities that were sitting so low in buildings that it just flooded. So that would be like, why don't we just build them higher? Oh, that's a great idea after the fact, right? We actually have facilities that are in like public storage locations. We have facilities that aren't even locked. We have facilities where there's no rules. You just go do whatever you want. So that's those types of things. So how do we secure those facilities? Because that's going to improve reliability. And then how do we take them to critical facilities where we start using greener technologies and change the behavior? Because if somebody walks in that facility and puts a box in the wrong place, you just change the cooling dynamics for that facility where you can overheat equipment. Or you leave the door open. You just change the entire temperature. So I think that's the kind of something to think about there. And cybersecurity, I think I talked about that. And I think we're out of time, but let me see here. Oh, 5G. Last thing is 5G. So there's been a lot of talk about the 5th generation of cellular services. It will be a disruptor. It will be another disruptor for us. When you're talking about running 500 megabits per second or gig service over a cell signal, that's a big concern for us. Now, some predictions, if you see on the slide here, they're talking like 2020 before we start seeing some of the first 5G components. So that might give us, it's like 2022. But we need to have a plan when 5G hits, because that could be the disruptor. Because why do I need internet if I can just get it through 5G? So we got to think about that. Now, there are opportunities with 5G. We actually splice in all the towers, the cell towers, into our cable networks and connect them because we have fiber, we have infrastructure. So we can work with those cellular providers so they can backhaul cell traffic over our network. So it might be investments in our networks to do cell backhaul. And that's how we can work with folks. But it's coming. You know that 4G has disrupted us, and 5G will do the same. And and then I guess the more the same wholesale services, and then mobile and IoT. And this is the virtualization piece. Here's a network. Could be Jamaica, could be South America, could be Europe. The whole point is these businesses, they want connectivity to them. It's just one big cloud in the middle. And I connect to all my businesses, called software-defined WANs. So do I have time for a video? Okay. Let's see which one this one is.
The race is on to get a fully self-driving car to market.
Autonomous car company Opticon promises a
cars that drive themselves. Opticon's new cars.
Joining conference now.
Destroyed data and deleted the backups. We can recover most of it, but some of the research may be gone for good. According to the forensics, they may have had access to the blueprints.
The FBI arrested a San Francisco man in connection with last month's Opticon.
Hey, Brian, can I get you anything? Coffee or soda or something before we start? So, walk me through it, step by step.
Well, I took over the website to a bowling alley.
Brian, this is not a joke.
Okay, look. They have this research facility down the peninsula, and they're working on optical tracking cameras for driverless cars. So, just searching through social media, I get the names of a whole bunch of engineers who are working there. And as I'm looking them up, I come across this bowling league where a bunch of tech companies play every Wednesday. And this is an old school bowling alley with this really ancient website. And it has all the league info, company names, player names.
Okay, so you hacked into a bowling alley website.
Yeah.
All right, explain how that works.
It's called an iframe injection attack. It's this old exploit that hits anyone that visits the website. So a week later, this guy from Opticon suddenly has my malware on his laptop. I couldn't believe it worked. It was like a joke.
What does that get you?
Well, the next day he goes to work, and he opens his laptop, and he connects to the network. And that's it. I'm in.
Yeah, but that still doesn't get you inside. I mean, they discovered it. They wiped the laptop, scanned the network.
No, they didn't scan the whole network. The thermostat's part of the network. It's inside the firewall. It's connected to Opticon's entire network. You can get the whole standard configuration and password online in 30 seconds. I got it off the manufacturer's website. So they scanned most of the network. They didn't scan the thermostat.
Then what?
Then I just went exploring. It was a totally flat network, no subnets or anything. I could see everything, HR files, legal documents, R&D. When I found the blueprints, I realized I could make some money off these files.
What happened after you sent the files?
Oh, then I burned everything down. I wiped everything I could find, encrypted drives and deleted backups.
Is the network down? I can't get
Change something with the database. The servers look corrupt. We're going to have to do a full restore from the backups.
No, the backups are encrypted.
This is deliberate.
This is a major breach.
Malware.
We gotta call the FBI.
I was just scared. I was trying to cover my tracks.
And somebody paid you how much exactly?
75 bitcoins.
Nice. Not enough to retire on, but still. All right, Brian Page. Are you sure you don't know who paid you?
European automaker Q-Car has beaten Opticon to market with their QX sedan, the world's first self-driving car. Opticon shares tumbled 11% on the news.
So it gives you a little idea about security. That here we're doing IoT, and this person actually put code on an old website from a bowling alley that this company went to. And when that company, those individuals from the company went to the website, software downloaded from that website into their laptop. And once that's done, he was able to then, when they connected to a network, he's got a connection point or a backdoor into this network, and it enables it to hack a network. So this is something of an opportunity for us, as you're connecting businesses to your networks, is talking about those security pieces, how you're going to keep them secure. And if you're offering Wi-Fi services or you're offering web services, how do you keep those pieces secure is very, very important, right? But this is the future. This is what pretty much people don't attack residential homes as much as they'll attack a business. In this case, he was attacking a business to get paid for some blueprints. Yes. So, any questions? On this last piece, this future thinking, does it sound some of these ideas are helpful? Yeah? It's a lot to think about and a lot of different technologies. All right. Well, I'll turn it back to Cordell.